All right, let's bring in our Washington insider, the one and only Scott Jackson, host of the team's pre- and post-game show. He joins us from Ashburn, home of the Washington football team. Scott, let's talk about the team as a whole first. They had a shot to close the door against a 4-10 team. They didn't get it done, and now they have to travel and make it happen against a division rival who is playing better, but Coach Ron Rivera says a bad game only affects you if you let it. So what do you see as the confidence level of this team right now?
Well, Nathan, I mean, even though they've lost these last 2 weeks, they've been games they've been able to come back in. They've been able to have a chance late after, again, bad starts, which has been the story through 15 games so far. It's always the slow starting Washington football team and, trying to battle back from that. But I think there's still belief that they can win this one game. And, if you take a big picture look, and I know Ron Rivera is really selling this early in the week. Hey, we're an underdog. Nobody expected us to be here. How many people really thought we'd be in a position to win the division in week 17? We're the flex game because we can, win it and win the division with that one win. So I think he's really sold that to this group. And I think they will come in here confident now. Whether or not they can execute early and not dig themselves a huge hole and, put themselves in harm's way as they have the last 2 weeks remains to be seen.
And no shortage of drama around the facility. Washington heads into this game with one less quarterback after the big news earlier this week. Dwayne Haskins let go. Scott, put some perspective into this. Haskins was brought in to maybe be the guy for the next 10 years, and he lasts 13 starts. Was the move expected, warranted, and where do you see the team going from here?
Well, I kind of thought they would wait till the offseason to make a move. But then, of course, the off-the-field thing happened a week ago. Then you had just a horrific game. I mean, the worst game he's played, maybe outside of the Giants game where he came off the bench, in his rookie season. But as far as a starter, by far his worst game, not even close. Then you see, Taylor Heineke come in, the Monarch, and just light it up, knows the plays immediately, is very comfortable, moves the ball. So I think that just made the decision even easier for them. And let's, really, this Dwayne Haskins situation here has been kind of poisoned from the jump, and it wasn't all his fault. But everybody knew from day one because, Jay Gruden and his staff let it be known that they didn't want the kid. They didn't like the pick. This was an owner selection. Dan Snyder made this pick, and everybody was just going to have to deal with it. And obviously nobody dealt with it very well. I think Ron Rivera came in here as the new guy with a fresh perspective, trying to give Dwayne Haskins as much of an opportunity as possible. But clearly that, flailed out after 5 games. And, it looked like when he got this second chance that maybe this would be a great shot at redemption, to show that he had improved. He had been doing all the things they expected of him, but clearly he wasn't ready for it. And he is still a guy that is a huge work in progress. And, I will think that he'll get another shot somewhere. I just don't know what kind of shot it'll be. Will it be as a third guy? Will it be as a practice squad guy? I mean, that remains to be seen.
So, Scott, what have you seen from this team without Smith? Those small changes that Coach Rivera is talking about, are they really that glaring without Alex Smith in there?
Yeah, I think so. And I think especially, last week against Carolina with the way Dwayne Haskins was, bailing out of the pocket when they were clean pockets and he was jumpy, didn't go to his checkdowns, didn't seem to really know where anything was, for him and seemed very, very flustered early in that football game. And I think that's where when you have Alex Smith, I think, he calms everybody down and they're able to run the plays and he's able to at least get to the checkdowns and maybe not make the big chunk plays, but he's going to get you some yardage. And he gets rid of the ball quickly. He's decisive, and they just haven't had that. And it's just the leadership part of it. I mean, it's interesting hearing guys like Chase Young and some of the younger players in the team, and they recognized it immediately when Alex started playing again for this team that, the confidence that he brought, the leadership he brought, and they all, praised it. And I think that certainly have been missing at that position over these last couple of weeks.
And look, I mean, it goes without saying that since Alex Smith has been out, the team has gone 0-2. Now, if Alex cannot go, and you've mentioned him a couple of times, there is this guy named Taylor Heineke out of Old Dominion University who literally came out of nowhere. 2 weeks ago, he was out of football studying for his college finals, but it seemed like he looked pretty good. But what did you see?
Well, he looked very good. First of all, he knew the plays. I mean, clearly he knew the playbook back to front. I talked to him after the game, and he said he had 3 to 6 snaps, he thinks, for the first team the entire week. So that's all he's had since he's been here. He knew exactly where the ball was going to go, where it needed to go, where the receivers would be, where the checkdowns would be. He knew when to bail out and run. He made himself some time in the pocket by, and the touchdown pass is amazing. I mean, he backpedals like 10, 11 yards and throws that touchdown. It's credited as a 29-yard TD pass, I think, and it's well over 40 yards. He throws the ball in the air to McKissick. That was really impressive. And, clearly he just came out and is like, I got nothing to lose. We're down 2 scores. And he just let it all hang out. He just, as I like to say, balled out. And I thought it was great to see. It was very similar to what you saw from him in Old Dominion. And, Can he do it for a full game? I don't know. We may have to find out on Sunday night if Alex Smith can't go. But that's the big question here.
No better test than on Sunday Night Football. I will say Chase Young said after the game that he thought Taylor Heineke had some swag. Whoever the quarterback is likely will be without Terry McLaurin. That could change, but he was in a boot to start the week with a high ankle sprain. Scott, I mean, how big is that to not have your biggest offensive weapon in the biggest game of the year?
It hurts because he dictates so much coverage. He draws he gets other players open. I mean, Gandy Golden just got back this past week, and you saw Taylor throw a couple balls to him that he should have caught and he couldn't. He's still very much a project at the NFL level at that position, so it definitely hurts. And I think they need to do a better job of running the football this week and relying on Antonio Gibson and McKissick can run it as well, and Barber. They've got to really try to pound it against the Eagles. And I know the Eagles are a pretty good run defense and their secondary is weaker. But no matter who the quarterback is, they've got to establish the run and be a lot more patient than they were this past week.
And finally, we got to talk about the defense. The Eagles' offense really wasn't doing much a few weeks ago, but now Jalen Hurts has stepped in for Carson Wentz, and things have really sort of revved up for the Eagles. So what kind of challenge is this going to be for Jack Del Rio's group?
Well, look, some of the games they've struggled the most in, the Cardinals game early against, Kyler Murray, and certainly the Ravens game against Lamar Jackson. And obviously, Russell Wilson gave him some fits at times, although, his overall numbers weren't great. But, he always, is capable of doing that. Those are the most challenging quarterbacks for this Washington football team. And I think that's what worries you about Hurts. And, he's again playing like I got nothing to lose because he doesn't. I mean, he's supposed to be the backup quarterback, but he's been really good in his 3 starts. And this game, means nothing to them. I'd imagine the Eagles will pull everything out. The Philadelphia special and then some, I would guess, from Doug Peterson, who, some people wonder if he's, on solid ground or not. I would be shocked if they fired him, but still, you never know. Stranger things have happened. So that's what worries you if you're Jack Del Rio's group. And, again, I can't keep reiterating this. It'd be great if the offense, actually scored early on an opening drive for the first time this season and actually got off to a fast start, and helped the defense. Because we saw what this defense was capable of in week 1 when this team got a lead against that Eagles team, and they just feasted on Carson Wentz when they could pin their ears back and go after the quarterback. And I think that's the way they like to play clearly. They're pretty good run defense, but they have some issues at times because their linebackers, outside of Cole Holcomb and Bostic aren't the best. But I think that's really the way they want to play. It really help themselves if the offense got off to a fast start.
Well, as far as the Washington offense scoring first, it is 2020. Stranger things have happened, and that the division rival would love nothing more than to play spoiler. Scott, hang around. We'll get your final thoughts a little bit later. One last time with our Washington insider, Scott Jackson, from the team's pre- and post-game show. Scott, we can discuss X's and O's, quarterback this, receiver that. In the end, one game gets you in on the big stage. Sunday Night Football doesn't get any bigger than this. Final thought, is this team ready for a challenge like this?
Yeah, I think they are. And whether it's Alex Smith and, if they can get him back on the field, that would be huge. I think that'd be a big confidence builder. Or even Taylor Heineke, the Old Dominion Monarch, and as an ODU alum, I think it would be pretty awesome to see it. I think they can beat Philadelphia. Like, Philadelphia's going to play loose. It's not going to be easy by any means. But I think this team has shown this year, every time you kind of count them out, this Washington team, they've shown the ability to counterpunch and fight back. And I think that's the kind of game we're going to see here. And I think that it's the kind of game where, it's maybe not be beautiful in terms of the aesthetics of it, but I think it's a game they'll find a way to win.